what do you say? You want to see my secret? Yowie Wowie.
Good day and welcome to everyone, and we are here with the second edition of Abby's Window. Jody, what is going on?
Not a whole lot. I've actually recruited my husband to come on here with me too, since we both watched that match together.
Jody's husband is on. Well, Daze will be happy to hear that.
That's all I've heard.
Welcome to Jody's husband.
Daze's affection, apparently.
His name's Chris, by the way.
Hello, Chris. How are you, man?
Hello, nice to meet you guys.
Yeah,
you
nice
too,
to meet
buddy.
you, Chris.
You too. So we are following up. In fact, we are recording this at 10:53 p.m. on Sunday night. We are following up WrestleMania. So this is about as close to a live reaction as you're going to be able to get from us without actually doing a live video. So we're fresh off the show, and we are just going to give you our thoughts on what we just saw with the Funhouse match. Now, before I get into it, I did poll the guys. I put a quick poll up, and I did ask everyone, what did you think of the Funhouse match? And I wrote, please let us know. We got some good responses. I'm going to go through a couple of those now, and then we will talk about it, and then I'll read off the rest of the responses we got. So thank you guys for giving me the responses that you did. I'll start off with Monica King. So shout out to Monica King. To me, it wasn't a match at all. It was like a visual story being played out in the head of Bray. It was interesting that we got to see a full set of the Funhouse as well, and it felt like we saw the visual of it. But overall, I would rate the segment a 10 out of 10. So Monica, thank you for that comment. Monica loved it. I got two comments from WrestleMania. I'll read those quick. The first one said, "I'm dead. Rest in peace, me!" exclamation point. And the second one said, "I knew in the current climate they couldn't pull off new characters and sets and masks and outfits because of people not being able to travel and work, but didn't want to rain on anyone's parade. I also knew Bray would deliver regardless. If given the freedom, it was awesome." So two really good ones there, and I'll do a third here quick. For fan for fandoms, they said loved it. Next year's Mania should have more cinematic matches like that since it's in Hollywood. So creative and different and better than we've seen in a while. So there's just some things we got from the group. And so let's start it out. So Jody and Chris, what are your thoughts?
I thought it was brilliant. I had to message Kyle after that match and Jesse, and I just said, that was the most beautiful piece of storytelling I've ever seen WWE do. And, you know, I said this in our Facebook group too, and I'm probably going to catch a lot of flack for it, but if you hated it, you're not a true Bray Wyatt fan. I think people who have come on, you know, as fans of The Fiend and have loved what The Fiend is doing won't get it. But if you know Bray and know how he works and how he operates, you're gonna love it. I thought it was brilliant. You really got a glimpse into Bray. That was a glimpse into Bray's mind. That's all that was, and it was absolutely beautiful. I loved it, every second of it.
Yeah, I think the same thing. That was a trip through Bray's mind. You really got to see where he's at, what he's thinking of, you know, when he's coming up with this stuff. Like, just that's going to require many, many, many more viewings to really dive into. I imagine every time we watch it, there's going to be little things we notice that we didn't notice the time before, and I can't wait. That was brilliant.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great.
Jeff, buddy, what'd you think?
For a couple minutes, I had to just sit and process what I saw. Not because I didn't like it, because I absolutely loved it. But I know a lot of people will say there wasn't really a match. You know, they didn't wrestle, they didn't do this or that. But it wasn't about the physicality. It was about the mental side of things. So
Yep.
I really liked it from a storytelling standpoint. I do say that going into it, I thought something completely different, like more of a brawl, but I don't know why I thought that, because it's Bray Wyatt and I should have expected what we got or something similar to it. So
yeah, so I'm still speechless. I didn't really know what to expect here. I mean, we had this big buildup of, we were getting this stuff, this countdown during the course of the week. We all know that we did that interview with Kyle. We talked to him. And if you guys have not listened to that, go and find that on our channel. Listen to the Kyle interview. You will love it. But we got all the stuff from Kyle throughout the course of the week. We got artwork, we got the pictures, and then we got the tweet from Bray with the hog character and the tusk. And we kind of, I don't know, I think maybe if you were disappointed in this, and I agree with both of your points, and I'm not going to say that I did not like it. I was it took me a long time to process it too. In fact, I had to ask Jeff a question about something, which we'll cover in a little bit. We'll get a little bit more into detail. But I liked it. I just didn't know what it was. I didn't know. I guess I just didn't get maybe what I expected to get. I was thinking we were going to get more of a match inside of a cabin, inside of a, after seeing the artwork, maybe that was going to be the big warehouse thing that was rumored. And I guess maybe I thought it was going to end up being some kind of a match. I don't know. I'm not going to say I disliked it at all. I loved it. I loved parts of it. I loved it. It was definitely a mind games. We don't want to say the other thing that I'm thinking of. Friendly podcast. But yeah, I and I'm still, it is going to take, Chris, I agree. It is going to take a lot to process this. It's going to take more than one viewing, I think, because again, there was just so much anticipation that it's, you just, and then you're sitting there and watching it and it's just going from one thing to another. I honestly expected when he opened that door for the Funhouse that he was going to go right into some really, and then you saw him in the dark hallway. I didn't expect the Vince puppet. I just, that kind of just blew my mind right there. There was a lot of humor in this.
Yeah.
Which again, I just didn't expect it. It's, the humorous side of the character is definitely the Funhouse Bray. So it does make some sense that, it's a Funhouse match. So this would be more of Bray's kind of match, Funhouse Bray's kind of match. So yeah, so let's go from there and go into just some details. And Jodie, just start us out. Like, I know you were super excited, you were really expecting it. So what did you think of in the first part of it when it first started?
I was I was actually live in the Facebook group and I was a little confused at first when Cena came out to the ring, and I'm like, why is this starting in the ring? I'm confused. And then he just, you got that Funhouse intro and Bray's in there, and then all of a sudden Cena pops up in there and you're like, oh, now I get it. And thinking about it, it makes sense because, and going back to talking about the pictures of the cabins and stuff, all of this Firefly Funhouse, it's all in Bray's mind. So, all of the pictures and stuff that they were putting out, with the cabin and the face of the hog that we were thinking about, all of that stuff is in Bray's mind too. So what if all those teasers and pictures, they're just other glimpses into Bray's head?
Yeah, I mean, that could have been talking about referencing the Man in the Woods for all we know. And, all this stuff is floating around in his brain. And it's not, I have a feeling all this stuff is maybe some things we see right away, maybe some things we might see down the road, but he's giving us glimpses into his mind. And I think this stuff will all come to fruition in his time.
Yeah, I don't think that we're never going to get, that dark side of Huskus. Maybe that's been hinted at now that Bray disappeared and all of a sudden Cena was beating up Huskus. So it doesn't mean that we're never going to get that dark side of Huskus character, that Bray hinted at in that picture. It just means that it's not yet. And it definitely felt unfinished. And I think we're going to see more come out of this. And I also think, and me and Chris were talking about this after it happened, and I think, Jeff, you mentioned it too when we were talking before we started recording, you know, what if this all happened in Cena's head? So he came out and was in the ring waiting for Bray. Then all of a sudden he's in the funhouse. What if all this happened in his head? What if he comes out on Friday and says, Bray, where were you? Like, I was waiting for you in the ring and you never showed up. You know what I mean? And it's just, he doesn't remember any of it. And I think this was all, it was all about psychological warfare. I loved, you know, that Vince showed up and he, you know, Bray took him down this road of reliving his worst nightmares. And that's what I expected. It may not have looked the way I expected it to, but I expected Bray to make him relive his weakest moments and his darkest fears. And that's exactly what he did. And I loved that Funhouse Bray ended up being the referee to count that out. And, you know, when the Fiend showed up, the lighting, and I don't know if they actually did something with his mask, but it looked a lot more like that last picture that Kyle posted. It was definitely darker. It was definitely more detailed in a way. There were more black elements to it, and I don't know, like I said, if they changed it or it was just the lighting, but when the Fiend showed up, it was definitely darker. And
maybe every person that the Fiend gets revenge on, he's on this journey. Obviously, we know of him, you know, reliving all these things, people that hurt him and stuff. Maybe every time he conquers someone like he did tonight, he gets darker.
Yeah,
maybe that's the, you know, this journey he's on.
Yeah, and you know, it's about a circle. He pretty much confirmed that with C Wrestling's video. Maybe he's going down the darker side of the circle right now.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Jeff, I know you and I were chatting after, because I when I got to the point of the part of the match with the NWO, it kind of lost me. I thought, you know, of course, every other part of it was, Cena's history. So the character's history, and I'm kind of wondering, was that Cena's old outfit that he got back into again, or did they get him some new tights there? I was wondering about that. So, you know, he went through Cena's history, went to Thugonomics Cena, which was cool. And then, so Jeff, you and I were talking. Explain to everybody what you think that NWO piece meant.
I think it's a direct tie to Hollywood Hogan when Hulk Hogan turned heel in WCW. Honestly, if you really look at some of the things online and through social media, a lot of people compare Cena to Hogan. Mm-hmm. And, you know, a lot of people think after Cena started getting some of the John Cena sucks and all that, you know, really the crowd was divided. I think at that point would have been a good time for him to turn heel. And I know a lot of people tried to get him to turn heel to bring some newness to the character and reinvent himself.
Well, Bray even did that 6 years ago at WrestleMania.
He tried to give him that out to do that. And when he didn't do it, I mean, it just kind of hurt his character. So I think that was a callback to say, if you had done what you should have and, you know, had that heel turn, this is what it could have. This is what it could have been.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great shout. Like I said, it didn't dawn on me right away. And then Jeff and I were talking, like I said, and he mentioned that. And yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. So let's go back to the part of, Jodie and Chris, what was the thing with the lifting weights? What was going on with poor Cena doing the reps with the dumbbells? And I mean, I know we saw Bray there with the gym shirt on and stuff. So, and he was even acting, I think he was supposed to be Hogan there.
Yeah, I think they were kind of like what you just said there, that this was a different version of Hogan. I think that other part, you're right, was tying into Hollywood Hogan. This was tying into old Hogan, because Cena's also been compared to how old, original Hogan was. About he was such a super good guy with the kids and stuff. Say your prayers and take your vitamins. Cena's always been that way with kids too. So I think that they were comparing him to how Cena is with using Hogan. Yeah. In different terms, and then we saw the opposite version of that with Hollywood Hogan.
Yeah. My favorite part of the entire thing, actually, and Chris, you may actually agree with this, but when Bray was recreating that WrestleMania match from 6 years ago, and he handed Cena that chair, and he said, "You're going to do it." He basically said, "You're going to do it this time." And he got down on his knees, just like he did 6 years ago, and he was saying, "Finish me, do it, turn heel." That was what he was trying to get him to do 6 years ago. And I think with this match, he pushed him. He pushed him
mentally.
Yep.
He let him in.
Yep.
And he did it.
Yep.
He swung, but Bray disappeared.
Yep.
And that was it.
So that was my favorite part of that match. Yeah. He finally got him to break.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. It was nice seeing Max Cady Bray back again. I know he looked pretty good. Definitely different, definitely a little more stout. A little more buff, should I say? But he definitely looked good. It was nice seeing him back again. Let me just read a couple more of these comments we got real quick. So we got Sandman882. Sandman, thanks for the response. He gives it a 10. Just a GIF with a man holding a number 10. So he gives it a 10. We got Jack with an R. So I'm not sure how you spell Jack with an R, but Jack with an R. I really hope we see more cinematic matches like the Boneyard or the Funhouse, or really just something different. Thanks, Jack, for that response. And then we have Jake Latham. Jake responded with a GIF of Bray outside of the ring clapping. So I'm guessing, I'm guessing he enjoyed it as well. So just a couple more shout outs to the community here. So, I loved the nod to Cult Leader Bray.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved that, because then you see Cult Leader Bray with the blonde dreads, and obviously as a woman, and you're going to roll your eyes. I thought he looked so gorgeous.
I would never have thought that, Jeff. I never ever would have thought that was going to be her response. Never in a million years.
No
I
way.
love one of my favorite parts. It was just a silly little thing, but it took me back to my childhood, because that's what I remember, was Devil Vince and Mercy as Randy Savage on commentary. Yep. I grew up watching Saturday mornings with Vince and Randy on commentary.
That was fantastic. I agree. That was a great. I love me being the old guy and liking the classic stuff. I love the shout out to the Saturday night's main event. I kind of marked out at that. I did it. I did love that. Because man, I grew up on that stuff. So me too. That was phenomenal. That was phenomenal. Man, so much to digest here. So,
I really liked the whole recreating Cena's debut against Kurt Angle too.
Yes.
That was brilliant.
That was well done.
Awesome. But obviously, for me, Cult Leader Bray was the version of him that I fell in love with. So I'm gonna immediately gravitate to anything that he does like that. Yeah. And I think everybody that's a Bray fan will immediately gravitate to whatever version of him that they fell in love with. And that was the version of him that I fell in love with. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Absolutely.
I still, as much as I love the new Fiend theme, I still like the old one better, just because it's got a special place for me.
So we started off with a memory of John and Kurt. And again, it was very well played. I mean, you saw him standing in the ring, and then, John comes out, and like I said, he's in those short shorts,
little shorts.
And John comes out, and, he's looking like young John. And comes out and kind of relives his moment with Kurt Angle. So it was all like almost like do you remember years ago when The Rock did the This Is Your Life with Mick Foley? Well, it was almost kind of like a demented segment of that.
Yep.
Like a Bray taking him back. Right, like taking him back and showing him, what he became, and then he got that moment with where you were saying with the chair, and then that was the moment that changed Bray's life, and then that could have been the moment maybe that changed John's life.
Yeah. That it's funny to look back on it now because I didn't think that then, but seeing it now, man, that was a really pivotal moment in wrestling history for both of them. And they're, to me, they're two of the biggest names of all time. I know some people would probably not say that about Bray, but that was a pivotal moment for both of their careers.
Mm-hmm.
So he's showing him, Jeff, like you said, he's showing him that what he could become. Now, I guess the next question is, are we going to see a Cena heel? Are we? Because, the fans have been, the fans have been looking for this for quite a while now. Obviously, we all know things are different, right? So the circumstances are different. The world is different. And John isn't going to leave and go finish Fast and Furious number 52 or whatever he's working on. So he's not leaving anytime soon. So, is John now going to stick around? And if so, we know we have Braun Strowman as the champ. Does John Cena turn heel and go after the champ?
I do think with the current climate, he may stick around and we may get to see that heel character. I think maybe, like I said, this feels very unfinished. So I do think there's more to come with this. Whether or not he goes after Braun Strowman, it depends when Roman comes back, because obviously, when Roman comes back, he's going for that belt and he's going to get it.
Right. Well, I think Braun's a placeholder, and I was talking about this to Jeff yesterday.
Yeah.
We talked about this in our WrestleMania show, but I think Braun's a placeholder, and I think he is holding that title for Roman, obviously, and I think that's going to happen probably at SummerSlam, I'm guessing, unless they do it beforehand.
I think it just depends on how long this pandemic goes on, because I don't think we'll see Roman until he feels comfortable that this is gone. I like what you just said about that with Cena, though. I really thought that this was going to, we probably won't see Cena for a while, but I didn't think, you're right, with the way things are going right now, he could easily stick around. He doesn't have all the movie shoots are canceled now, so he could easily stick around now.
He also lives in Florida.
Yeah.
So he's from Tampa.
Yeah.
It would be very easy to continue to get him there for regular SmackDown shows. And obviously,
he's never held the Universal title. It'll be another accolade for him.
You think he's going to beat that record, though?
Yeah, that's true. That if he wins it, that would put him over Ric Flair. I always said that they're never going to have him surpass Ric Flair. He's tied with him, but I don't think they'll have him surpass it. So I don't know. That's interesting.
How big could this character get if he does come out and he's a complete heel turn?
Oh,
how big does?
Yeah, you're right. Everyone's always wanted it, but I never thought it would happen.
Yep.
It makes sense now because Cena can't have too much of his career left. Why not do a little heel run?
Yeah. And what better way? So let's even say the Fiend is controlling him now a little bit. So who would he want to go after now? Braun never really physically left Bray. He didn't walk out on them or turn his back on them, but he was drafted away from them. And then, of course, we remember that Bray did have that confrontation. So
I think that's why that's all we ever got with Braun was just that one attack, because he didn't really harm him that much, not enough to warrant a big feud, I feel like.
Right.
So I don't think we'll see him and Braun again.
No, I don't think we'll see, but that I was just thinking that could even lead to the theory of Cena even more, because if Cena turns heel and then Cena goes, right after someone who technically, not really, but technically involving the storyline, he left the family. So would Cena go after him then to get revenge, kind of almost for Bray?
That's a possibility. I hadn't thought about him controlling Cena like that, but it's a very big possibility considering I think a lot of the stuff we could tell, he got in Cena's head. So I think that's definitely a possibility.
Here's another thought. Does Cena now go after the people that wronged him?
Turns into his own Fiend.
He turns into his own version of the Fiend. And does now Cena go after who he felt wronged him? Which is probably an endless list of people. He even said on that promo he has a list. And Bray was the top of that list.
He had a list of people that that feels like, you know,
is undeserving.
Aren't deserving.
So maybe now Cena starts going after his list.
That would be interesting.
Possible.
Yeah, that would be absolutely interesting.
Yeah, until Friday, I feel like anything and everything's possible now. Until we find out a little more of the aftermath of this.
All I gotta say is this: we have got to get Kyle back on our show.
Yes.
No kidding, man.
I've already reached out.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah, I mean, again, shameless plug. If you haven't listened to Kyle Scarborough's interview, go and do so. Don't wait. Go and listen to it. Listen to us first, obviously, and then go listen to it later. Let me read a couple more of these because these things are growing here. I'm getting more of these reactions by the minute. So Jason Peace, our buddy Jason Peace, he's going to be on our show, actually. And Jason Peace just said, it was epic. We got a friend of Jeff, your buddy PB Green.
PB.
Shout out to PB Green. He's always given us some great stuff about Bray. He says, fantastic, best of Mania, yet wanted so much more. So shout out to PB Green. And another one of our buddies, Rusty Shackelford.
Oh,
Rusty, shout out to you. He says, absolutely loved, capitalized, same thing again, loved it. Can't wait to see what happens next. And then Mr. Adam Rotella responds. And Adam Rotella gives it a big thumbs up on the post. So awesome, man. Thank you guys for the responses to that poll. So look, obviously we're getting a lot of great feedback. A lot of people love this match, man. So I'm digging that. Jody, so
I think it goes back to what I said earlier. I think true Bray fans that have been there since the beginning, or maybe newer, like me, that found him a little bit later before the Fiend, that have gone back and watched all his stuff, like those true hardcore old Bray fans will love this. I think it's the people that have come around, and this is not to, shame them at all, but people who came around, when the Fiend came around, that are kind of those new fans, they won't get it because all they've really seen is the Fiend. You know what I mean? But people that have been there since the beginning, that know Bray's backstory, that know how he is, that know how he operates, and know what his mind is like, and what a creative genius he is, they will love it.
I also think that a lot of people could go back and watch this again and change their opinion on it, because I think a lot of people, we've touched on it already, that a lot of people had an expectation of what they thought this match was going to be, and then when it didn't live up to that, maybe their initial reaction was that they didn't like it. Maybe they go back and watch it again and really think about what it is and what he was trying to do with it. I could see their opinions changing, but yeah, I'm sure a lot of people were caught off guard by what that was.
Yep. It's a lot like how I felt about Hell in a Cell. At first, I hated it. I was like, this is awful. I hated it. But then, I slept on it and everybody was so mad. And, I went back and watched it again and I was like, you know what? This was actually pretty perfect. It was all about getting Seth to break, and he did in that match. And going back and watching it again and really listening to the commentary and really dissecting that match again, I grew to love it. And I think that, I agree with you. A lot of people may go back and be like, you know what, this is actually pretty brilliant.
So to that point, we do have a couple comments. We got a comment from Alexis Jimenez. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He just flat out hated it. Just put down hated it, 2 words. And then we got Brent Wilco. He wrote, it was all over the place. Was expecting a match, which it advertised, and we didn't actually get one. It was more looking in the mind of Bray. So, yep, he did get that. It just seemed like 2 guys having a laugh and a joke. So there were a couple people who didn't. And maybe, like you guys just said, maybe this is going to take a few viewings, almost like, akin to a movie. I know we like to compare things to movies a lot all the time, but you know,
Mhm.
sometimes you just have to watch things more than once
Oh.
to get the full effect. Like, I mean, I know for me, I remember watching the movie Inception, and I was completely lost
Yeah.
going through that. And it took me a few viewings, and then, you know, I finally figured out, I'm like, oh, okay. And then just something kind of clicks and the light bulb goes off. So, yeah, maybe that's what it
how
is.
I was with Napoleon Dynamite. The first time I watched that movie, I thought it was the stupidest thing I'd ever saw, but I saw it a couple more times and grew to love it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't think everybody likes to compare Bray to The Undertaker because, you know, they think there's a, you know, they obviously have that big feud and they feel like, you know, Undertaker needs to pass the torch to Bray. But, you know, you can't compare the Boneyard match to that because, you know, Undertaker, obviously, he does have those psychological aspects to his character, but he's always
Nothing
been
like
very,
Bray's always surpassed.
yeah, he's
I
always
feel
been
like.
very physically strong, and that's what, you know, the Undertaker always brought to the table. But Bray is so different from that. He is more about the mind games, and, you know, so it's very, I think a lot of people are going to compare the two because they were the two, you know, cinematographic, whatever the word is.
Cinematic.
Thank you. They were the two cinematic, you know, outside of the ring matches, and I just don't think it's fair to compare the two.
Yeah. I would
They were
definitely...
both great.
See, I actually do think they were pretty similar. I mean, obviously they were different, but yet neither one of them I would call, you know, was a wrestling match. They were, you know, they were both fights. Obviously there was a little more fighting in the Boneyard match than this match, but still, I don't know. I guess this is, obviously I didn't know what to expect exactly with the Firefly Funhouse match, but I'd say what we got is what I was kind of expecting. I definitely didn't think it was going to be a straight up wrestling match or even much, you know, a full fight like the Boneyard match.
Yeah, and I think, Jeff, I mean, what do you think, man? Because, I mean, I know you and I marked out in that Undertaker match last night. We were both talking.
Yeah.
Oh, that was amazing.
So, I mean, do you think that was it? Because I mentioned that when we were talking before the show. Do you think that was a detriment to this? Do you think that match hurt this match?
I don't, because they're so different.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you look at last night's match, that's more of a brawl. Like, you know, you insulted my wife and all these other things, so now I got to beat you up. This whole thing was a psychological. It was a whole psychological warfare
Yep.
going on with it. So I don't think following that match hurt it. I think that, like you said earlier, from what people were reading and seeing, maybe they expected more of a brawl. But, you know, again, that goes to Jodie's point as well. If you know Bray Wyatt or anything about him, it's all psychological.
Yep.
But I think just thinking about this match too, and thinking about the way they did the Boneyard match, I think this was a test run. Because I think they want to see if they can position themselves with the casual fan. So you look at how this match was shot, you look at how the match was last night, and it's like, okay, we're telling you a story. It's almost like a mini movie. We're going to take you on a journey, and it's not just big people in a ring, you know, beating each other up. There's art to it. I think they're trying to do some of this to appeal to a larger audience, because I think they're starting to see that the diehard wrestling fans now have other options. So it's splitting up what they normally had.
Yeah.
So I think they're
I love the idea too of doing this kind of stuff next year since it's in Hollywood.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think what they just did is they just revolutionized wrestling and how it can be done, how it can be shot, and how it can be done. Like, yes, Matt Hardy, you know, had all of those things, all of the, you know, I can't even. I
Free of the delete stuff.
There you go. Yeah. So,
yeah, and the ultimate
like
deletion match.
Yeah, like he had all of that stuff before, but now
I feel like this took that and took it to another level.
It's another level, and now WWE can take all of their production and everything that they have behind them and really create some amazing pieces.
I agree. We got a couple more comments in. They, like I said, they just keep coming in. Let me go to, so this one is Jacob Williamson. Jacob, thank you for commenting here. It was wonderful. This finally put together all the pieces and showed us it was about Bray Wyatt doing what he should have been done 6 years ago to John Cena. Everything showed us from the start was leading up to this moment. Can't wait to see changes in Cena. So there's that one. We got another little bit of a negative one. CH Ninny Muggins. I was kind of disappointed. I think we see what goes on in people's minds before they face the Fiend and get a look at what makes them change. But it's WrestleMania. It should have been bigger than that. They did leave us with a question: where did John go? And you guys touched on that. That was the point. You guys touched on that.
I think we're going to figure out where he went.
Yeah. Well, the puppet said on Friday that after, this match, he was going to play with them forever. So, yeah, maybe seen as a puppet now.
Well, yeah, there you go. There you go. Hey, we certainly got that mask. So could a mask be waiting for Mr. Cena?
Yeah, maybe he's the new persona. It's possible.
I don't know.
Interesting. We also got.
I'm hesitant. When people start talking about bringing in other people, I don't like that because this is all about Bray, and I know I've said this before. This is all about his revenge, his redemption, and him bringing anybody else into it right now. Everybody wants somebody to be Sister. I'd say that's a
long shot.
Yeah,
it's possible.
Yeah, everybody wants somebody to be Sister Abigail, but I just don't think that makes sense right now.
Yep. Now, we did get a glimpse of Sister Abigail, and it was not the Bray Abigail, and I hope someone slowed that down because when there was the rocking chair there and you saw someone in that chair, that was not Bray in that chair because I remember I looked really good.
I didn't catch that part.
Yeah, so there was a Sister Abigail real quick shot, and you saw the rocking chair, and you saw a veiled figure in that chair, and that could have been anything. It could have been a dummy with a veil on.
Yeah,
right.
But it definitely was not. I looked real close to see.
Well, it makes sense that they would call back to that.
Yeah.
Yep. We also got a comment from our own C Wrestling. Shout out to C Wrestling. C says, if you would like to include my thoughts, sir. Period. And he then writes all capital letters, exclamation point. Thank you very much. And a smiley face.
I'm sure
he loved it.
I'm sure I will talk to him on Skype here in a little bit and delve a little bit deeper into that.
I'm sure he will. Sure he will.
He's going to have a 20-minute video waiting on that.
I'm sure he will.
We discussed a really great Bray theory about Sister Abigail that he told me he was probably going to put up a video about it here in a few days, but
well, there you go. You get a preview there too. So let's go into to wrap this thing up. Let's all say Jody, and you and Chris, where do you think this is headed? Where do you think this is? I know we touched on it a little bit. What can people expect to see now on SmackDown?
I think we're going to see a Cena heel turn and maybe some more mind games from Bray. Like, I haven't processed it that far.
Yeah.
I do think, if Cena shows up, it's going to be a very different version of him. If we get anything at all. I mean, Bray's notorious.
I was about to say, I wonder, a lot of times after pay-per-views and big things like this, he's not there that week. He might. Then they'll say, "Oh, new Firefly Funhouse next week." Like, so I'm not holding my breath that we're even going to get Bray at all this Friday. It's very possible we don't.
Yeah, he is notorious for that. I mean, he wasn't on SmackDown after the Saudi Arabia show. I mean, he's notorious for the week of pay-per-views not being on SmackDown that week. So we may not get anything at all. And he loves to keep us guessing, and maybe that's part of the reason why he just wants us to think about it and speculate on it for a little while.
Yeah, I think it depends on if Cena's sticking around. I think if he is, we might start to see some heel Cena and maybe some Funhouse episodes referencing that or something. But if not, I could also see if he doesn't, then we get moved completely on and we move on to the next feud, which who knows what that could be. I want to say Roman, but with Roman out right now, I don't know. He's the next real big one on SmackDown before he gets to Randy.
I think Undertaker's in there somewhere.
Bray lives in Florida as well, right? Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, he definitely can get there. And obviously they're
Yeah.
recording these things all ahead of time.
I think they already have at least tomorrow's Raw. I'm not sure about this week's SmackDown. They've already taped it.
Right.
I don't think they taped SmackDown yet.
Yeah, I know they did at least Raw. I didn't know if they did this week's SmackDown.
Okay. So, yeah. So there's a possibility. Jeff, what do you think's coming up, man?
I think we get a Cena heel turn. I
Mhm.
think we see the Fiend get darker.
Mm-hmm.
And as he gets darker, I think we'll start to see the reveal of some different personas, like the puppets actually, come into life, so to speak, through a mask.
Dark Huskus.
Yeah.
Poor Huskus got pinned. Poor Huskus
Yeah.
was pinned on the mat tonight.
Somebody needs to check on Huskus.
Somebody
That's the
needs to
first
find
time
out.
that-
Oh.
I saw somebody on Daze's stream talked about that. The Huskus got beat up and hashtag justice for Huskus.
Oh, that's awesome. Did you hear that, everybody?
I mean-
Go to our channel and go to our Twitter page and hashtag justice for Huskus and throw up pictures. Yeah, man, but listen, Ramblin didn't die. So Ramblin
But
for the
that's
first
the
time
first
did not
time-
die, and we got one of the other puppets that got picked on. So
Yeah,
maybe
that's
it
what I
was
was
just
gonna
time
say.
for Huskus to get picked on a little bit instead of Ramblin. So
Time for Ramblin' Rabbit to
Cena
get a
made
little
a lot of
bit.
references to Husky Harris.
He did.
He
Even
did.
in that match, he made references to Husky
Oh, yeah.
Harris. So it's
He came up
Huskus'
with-
time to get picked on.
John came up with some good rhymes for Husky Harris.
Oh, yeah.
With Thugonomics John. Yeah. We got another comment from Yoshi. Like I said, they keep coming in. These are going to blow up. Yoshi Sensei, shout out to you. How I feel about it, with a GIF and a little girl jumping off her seat screaming, "I love it," with 3 exclamation points. So there you go. I mean, it's pretty overwhelming that you guys in the community all loved it. Obviously, you heard Jodie, and thank you for Chris. Chris came on with Jodie tonight. Jodie's husband, Daze. Jodie's husband came on tonight. And
Daze, your fiance.
Yeah.
there you go, man. There you go. So I think it's pretty safe to say that you guys all seem to love it, with a couple people not so much, but you guys all pretty much loved it, and I'm sure we're going to be expecting where this goes next. So hey, listen, we wanted to bring this guy to you guys tonight right after we finished watching the match, with it fresh in our minds, and to discuss it right away. And it was kind of cool to do that. We have never really done that on one of our shows before, and this is coming to you from Jodie's show, Abby's Window. And man, I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as we did. And listen, we're going to keep bringing you this show every week, Mondays at 6 o'clock before the Raw stream starts. Every single week we're going to have news for you, and I'm sure we're going to recap a lot of the stuff that happened on SmackDown. Listen, we've got news about some interviews coming up as well. So, hoping to maybe we can get Kyle back. It's might be a possibility. We might be able to talk to him more now that this ended, come and gone. And we might also be getting Jesse Cage. So I know Jodie's been working on that for you guys too. So Jodie, parting thoughts before we let the guys all go.
Once again, Bray leaves us all in suspense. He's very good at that, and encourages us always to think deeper. And I think he's going to give us some time to really process this, and can't wait to see. Obviously, Kyle said we haven't seen anything yet, so can't wait to see what's next.
Excellent. Oh man, I agree that is exactly what we learned, is we haven't seen anything yet, guys. Hey, thank you to Jodie. Obviously, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you to Chris for joining us tonight, and my co-host Jeff, man, thank you as well. Hey, we will talk to you guys on our next show, which is coming up after Raw tonight. Following the Raw stream, we will see you then at 11:15. That is our WrestleMania wrap-up show. So we're going to have maybe a little bit longer than normal, but we got a lot to talk about in that as well. So thank you all for joining us. We will talk to you guys really soon.